episode of the Format Podcast. Got a good show for you today, talking some more. What else? Football. It is football season, right? Nah, sometimes we talk basketball too, but got a good football show today, and we're going to discuss Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. But before we get to that, you know what time it is. If you haven't already and you're on YouTube, go ahead, click that subscribe, that like, and that notification bell so you can be notified whenever new episodes come out and you can stay on top of the show that we're working so hard to give you. All right. Also, if you want the audio only version of the podcast, we are everywhere that you get your audio podcast. If you're looking on YouTube right now, you can see we're on, it's right here on the screen. We're on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, all that good stuff. So just go to your audio podcast platform, type in the Format Podcast, do a little search. We should come up. Please make sure you leave us a comment here on YouTube, or leave us a comment if your audio podcast platform allows it, and leave us that 5-star review. All that good stuff helps us rise in the algorithm. Finally, if you like the show, please go ahead. Don't keep it to yourself. Share it with other sports fans you know that would enjoy some good sports talk, out of the box thinking, okay? All right, so here we go. Let's get right to it. Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia Eagles. Where do we start? Right now, this team is looking like the best team in the NFC, to be honest. They're 4-0. Like the best team in the conference, playing extremely well right now. Hosted the Jaguars last week, and the Jags coming in have been playing well. As we know, Coach Doug Peterson of the Jags, he won a Super Bowl 3 seasons ago with the Eagles, and now he's the coach of the Jags, and he came in there. Jags were playing extremely well, and the Eagles took care of business. But what's special about this team right now? I think obviously the biggest thing in a quarterback-driven league, we're going to look at the quarterback play of Jalen Hurts, and right now he's playing awesome. He's been named NFC Offensive Player of the Month for September, and that's something no one really expected. Now, even though this guy was a high recruit coming out of high school in Texas, obviously you got to be right. He was the starting quarterback for Alabama, won a national championship there, but he wasn't playing anywhere near like what we see him playing now. He was a physical running type of quarterback, did a lot of handing it off, did a lot of quarterback draws and those type of plays. Even though that team had a lot of weapons, he wasn't necessarily groomed extremely well in the passing game, and ended up losing his job to Tagovailoa, who's now quarterback with the Miami Dolphins. So Jalen Hurts moves on, transfers to Oklahoma, where he gets with Lincoln Riley, noted quarterback guru, who previously to that had Heisman Trophy winner and number 1 overall pick Kyler Murray. Previous to that, Heisman Trophy winner and number 1 overall pick Baker Mayfield. Baker. Whew, that's a different story. Maybe we'll talk about that later in the week or next week. But anyway, so Jalen Hurts moves on, ends up getting with Lincoln Riley and being second in the Heisman Trophy voting. Doesn't win it, but still ends up playing himself into getting drafted as a quarterback. And coming out of there, Oklahoma, a lot of people weren't sure how he would do as an NFL quarterback, but he's been in the league 3 years now, and he's really just continued to develop. Philadelphia has leaned into his skill set. Philadelphia has gotten him some weapons. A.J. Brown, they drafted Devontae Smith. I mean, they're playing extremely well. They run the football well. They play really good defense. And he has developed tremendously in the passing game, to the point that right now I think he's got 1,120 passing yards on the season. And, you know, obviously staying healthy and keeping on this pace, he'd pass for almost 4,800 yards on the year, which, again, NFL, quarterback-driven passing league, those are great numbers, all right? He's also rushed for over 200 yards, and that would put him on pace for rushing for almost 900 yards. So that combination, 4,800 yards passing, 900 yards rushing, I don't know that we've ever seen that before. I don't think we have. Now, no one is quite calling him Lamar Jackson in terms of putting the ball on the ground, but he's a tremendously strong, powerful guy, doesn't go down easily, physical runner. But as I've mentioned, we've seen this is a guy who has really, really worked and developed himself in the passing game. And if he can continue to do that, big things ahead of the Eagles. I think definitely we've got to look at the Eagles and say they're the favorite at this point to win the NFC East, which gets you a home playoff game. Who knows how it's going to go from there. Obviously, we're only a quarter of the season. We're only a quarter of the way through the season. We know that injuries take place. That happens in football. No team escapes without them. So by the end, it's not just who's the best team, but who's the healthiest team often that plays a major role in what happens. But we're looking at a guy named Nick Sirianni, the head coach of the Eagles, who, let's be honest, we thought he was kind of over his skis last year when he took the team over, but he helped to guide them towards the playoffs. Obviously, they lost to the Bucs. Tom Brady, what are you going to say, right? And that great defense led by Todd Bowles, and now that whole team led by Todd Bowles. But you look at it and you just wonder, how good can the Eagles be this year? They're playing great defense. And one of the things that you hear talked about when people are breaking down the Eagles, they say this team is so balanced and dominant in terms of both the offensive and defensive line. You know, throwing the football all over the place is sexy, and slinging the rock and having an outstanding passing offense is all that. And yeah, fans love to see that. It's exciting, it's points, it's fantasy, it's gambling, all that, right? All these things definitely play a role. All that goes into why the rules were changed. We want to up offensive production, blah, blah, blah. I've talked about that ad nauseum on multiple podcasts, whether it's about football or basketball. But what the other thing for me is, while it's not the sexiest thing, you look at those lines, right? The best coaches know that football is played from the inside out. What do I mean by that? If you build it in the trenches, you will have the most success, right? If you dominate, you're able to stop the run, and you're also able to get a push and get to the quarterback, right? If you can do that, get to the quarterback without having to send extra pass rushers, that makes it even tougher on that quarterback in terms of how to get the ball down the field, right? In terms of how the defense can set up. So if you can just get there with your front four, and then you have solid play in the linebacker and defensive backs, then it makes it even more difficult, right? On the other side of the ball, if you have a dominant offensive line, what does that mean? That means your quarterback is protected. When they need to throw the ball, he has more time to do it. When you want to run the ball, whether it's to pick up tough yardage because the passing game isn't working, whether it's to run out the clock when you have a lead, whether it's to grind out touchdowns in the red zone where it's, you know, tougher to throw the football because everything is condensed, right? If you can run it, well, then you have so much more success. Again, we know that running the ball is not sexy, right? So what does this all get back down to? Bruce's mantra: run the ball, stop the run. All this seems pretty simple, but then there's so many GMs and so many coaches who can't figure it out, right? Again, football comes down to very simple tenets. Every sport really does, but then you get these geniuses with the analytics and the numbers, and then you get all the other things that get involved, like we talked about. You get the gambling and the fantasy and the rules changes and the wanting to put butts in the seats with high scoring, high powered offenses and blah, blah, blah. And all that's cool. But at the end of the day, you know what really puts butts in the seats? What really puts butts in the seats? Winning. When you win, they will come. Not when you build it, right? If you win, they will come, right? So putting butts in the seats comes from winning. Getting the ratings on TV comes from winning. Selling jerseys and whatever else, that memorabilia and all this stuff with your team's logo on it. What does that come from? Winning. When you win, everything else happens. And this is what I don't understand with so many of these owners, coaches, and GMs. They're all worried about the wrong thing. If you focus first and foremost on winning, everything else falls into line. So again, back to the Eagles. The Eagles are really, really playing good football right now. Again, you know, we've got a long season ahead of us. We've got 13 games remaining, 4 games gone already. So you just say, okay, let's sit back. Obviously, the schedule is going to get tougher. Weather's going to get tougher. Injuries are going to start to play a role. And so you look at all these things and you say, well, can the Eagles keep it up? So far they've beaten the Lions, who, man, a quick side note, the Lions are playing so well, offensively anyway. Their defense needs to figure out what the hell they're doing, which is odd because Dan Campbell is such a physical, old school type of guy. So you're wondering what's going on with the defense. They're giving up a ton of points. But anyway, the Eagles beat them in week 1. Then they beat the Vikings. They beat the Commanders. They beat the Jaguars. So it's not like they beat a bunch of bad teams here. So you got to look at this and say, okay, well, what's coming down the pike in terms of schedule? Next up, They've got the Cardinals. Should be a good matchup, right? They're at Arizona for that one. Then they have a matchup against the Cowboys, who no one thinks the Cowboys are world beaters, but, and this is interesting, Cooper Rush has them playing well. Cooper Rush has stepped in and he's doing his thing. Nothing spectacular, but he's guiding the teams to wins, which is exactly what you expect from a quality backup. But quick side note to that, this is just another example of my point. You didn't need to pay Dak that money. You got a guy like Cooper Rush. He comes in, and no one's saying you're going to win a Super Bowl with him, but you're not going to win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott either. You're not going to do that. So what? You got Cooper Rush. He's coming in. The team is playing well around him. You're guiding them. If you had a lower value quarterback than Dak, maybe you don't get some of the splash numbers, but guess what? If you're winning just the same, who cares? You're not going to win a Super Bowl with Dak. You're not going to win one with Cooper Rush. So why not save that money, put it elsewhere, and give yourself a better chance to win with a quarterback that doesn't cost you as much? Just a thought. I mean, look at it. You had a guy like Jimmy G. You wouldn't necessarily have to pay him what you paid Dak, but clearly Jimmy G can win for you. And we'll talk about Jimmy G on another episode. But yeah, just some side thoughts. I digressed. But October 30th, after a bye week, you have the Eagles playing the Steelers. Now, that should be interesting because right now the Steelers look like they're hurting. They've got what looks to be a QB situation. Not sure. Mike Tomlin hasn't committed yet to whether or not he's going to remain with Kenny Pickett. Trubisky obviously isn't getting it done. That should be interesting. What's next? Houston Texans. That should be a win. Washington Commanders. That should be a win, but you know, division rivalries you can never just chalk up as wins, but it should be. Indianapolis Colts. If the Colts haven't figured it out by then, that's another win. That's going to be interesting. Jonathan Taylor is really struggling this season. You can tell everybody they play is stacking the box against him, really trying to take him out of the games because they know he's an engine that makes the Colts go. The Packers, great matchup there. Packers coming to Philly. Aaron Rodgers, obviously. Tennessee Titans, New York Giants, Chicago Bears, Dallas Cowboys again, New Orleans Saints, New York Giants. This is a team that legitimately looks like it can win 12 or 13 games, and that probably will get you the first or second seed in the NFC. So I'm very excited to see what happens with the Eagles going forward. Again, Jalen Hurts he's playing out of his mind right now, and he's playing in a way that maybe only he believed that he would be able to play on this level. And if he can stay healthy and his weapons can stay healthy and he can continue to improve, who knows what the Eagles can do. Now, I would say the thing about it is if the Eagles get into a situation where they get far in the playoffs and let's say maybe they play against a Niners or a Rams, although the Rams they've got to get their house in order as well. But let's just say that. And the reason I'm saying that, you got a guy like Sirianni who is, yes, he's been in the playoffs before, but he's not a particularly experienced playoff coach. And he's got to go up against a Shanahan or a McVay, or even on a lower level, a Matt LaFleur. These are guys that have all been there and completely understand the playoff situation and what it takes to make a deep run. And in McVay's case, what it takes to win a championship. So Sirianni versus those guys, yeah, he's got the players and he's got the scheme as it looks right now, but you got to wonder if in a playoff situation against those more experienced veteran coaches, how he will do in terms of making the adjustments and the X's and O's. Definitely going to be interesting. But yeah, the Eagles look like they are a legitimate 12 to 13 win team. I'm excited to see what they do going forward. It's going to be really interesting. Jalen Hurts, again, he has vaulted himself into the MVP conversation again early in the season. But this is what we do, right? In the sports media, we prognosticate, we say these things, we look at what's happening, and you can only go by what you've seen so far. For what we've seen so far, Jalen Hurts is definitely in the MVP discussion. Now, how amazing would it be if he was to win an MVP or win a Super Bowl this year? Again, no one saw that coming out of Oklahoma. And no one saw that starting the year, but the Eagles look really good. Jalen Hurts has them flying high, pun intended. So, yeah, let's see what happens. All right, that's all I got for this episode. Real quick, talking Philly Eagles, shout out to my man Mike Corbett. Shout out to my man Bernard. What up, B? Yeah, this is for y'all. and every other Philly fan out there. So yeah, that's it, and I'm out. Peace.